How's it going, everybody? It is Monday following week 14. We're going to do the recap. We're going to do the autopsy right here on YouTube. If you're watching this video for the first time, if you're new to the channel, thank you for finding the video and click that subscribe button before you leave. And let's see if we can get about 300 likes on this video. Before you finish, be sure to smash that like button. I write this article over here on ESPN every single week. We look at it every Monday.
Best thing I've done for my DFS career.
Sim Cardi, thank you very much for the tier 1 sub, 2 months in a row of support. Glad that we can help you out. Let's take a look back at how we did on Best Buys this week. See if we got lucky or unlucky in a couple of spots. See if we were wrong with our process in a couple of spots, and what we can improve going to the next week moving forward. So starting right here, this is the article for last week. Top quarterback that we had, the highest dollar quarterback that I really wanted to go after with Matthew Stafford. Obviously, we had to pay attention to his injury. He had 2 fingers taped together. He looked really good, came out firing 15 of his first, completing, I think it was 15 of his first 15 completions. Then the interceptions started coming. 381 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 20.2 DraftKings points, did just fine. They picked Jimmy Garoppolo as the cover boy. I thought it was fine. I wasn't against that. I would have gone with DeAndre Hopkins, but that's me. Or Gurley, as were my two, what were they? Not contrarian, but my conviction plays from the Edge podcast. Jimmy Garoppolo did just fine. 19.1 points. Only threw 1 touchdown, 334 yards again. Had 290-something the week before. Constant threats into the red zone. He's really got this offense moving very well considering the weapons that are around him. 290 yards, 330 yards in his first 2 starts. He likes the offense, has a good coach. He's the guy moving forward, and until that price really starts moving upward, Garoppolo is going to be a guy that we can go with some very with a target that we can pair him with moving in and out of every week until that price moves up. DeShone Kizer, I came off of him and shouldn't have come off of him on Sunday morning because of the increasing wins. He was a great play throughout the week, somebody I was really targeting. I pared back. I still had some exposure to him, but not as much as I wanted to have going into the week because of the 20-mile-an-hour wins. 20 of 28, 214 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 19.26 DraftKings points for 4.9K. Great week, and if you played him, you could stuff everybody else in there. The rushing upside wasn't there this week, but he got it done through the air. Dak Prescott, good tournament play, 29.6 points. Gabbert was the one bust out of the 5 quarterbacks that we wrote up this week with 8.32. So no mistakes, nothing to look at there. Todd Gurley smashed once again, talked about his 10-point floor just with receiving, with his involvement in the receiving game, and it was going to be a game flow independent situation, whether they were up or whether they were down, and not to be afraid of the Eagles' proficiency against opposing running backs. Very efficient was Gurley on the ground. 13 carries for 96 yards and 2 touchdowns, and had another one on the 1-yard line where they threw it to Sammy Watkins. He could have had 3 touchdowns. Also had the 100-yard bonus and lost yards on 2 straight plays. Lost 1 and then lost 3, taking away the 100-yard bonus. 3 catches, 5 targets, 39 yards through the air, 28.5 DraftKings points. He's going to be an every week plug and play pretty much moving forward. Way too involved in the passing game. All the goal line work. Over 100 yards from scrimmage for X amount of straight games. He's basically there every single week. Just an absolute stud, and a poor man's DJ or Lev Bell at a much lower price, right? Those guys were $9,500 to $10,000 by the end of last year. He's still sitting around $8,000. Alf Morris had a pretty good game. Got vultured in the 4th quarter for all the Rod Smith usage. Still had 19 carries for 62 yards, 3 catches on 3 targets for 23 yards. Ended the day with 11.5 DraftKings points. Missed value, but didn't kill you. Obviously, Rod Smith had the 81-yard touchdown run, or touchdown catch, and then had another short 18-yard touchdown run. A little scamper there. So he was the big running back, but all the usage was with Alf Morris, and that's what we like to target. Giovanni Bernard was the absolute smash play on the week. Somebody that we said all of your lineups should come pretty much preloaded with him going into the week. Giovanni Bernard, 3,100 with Mixon out. He was going to get all the usage, all the snaps, 11 carries, 62 yards. We weren't expecting them to pound him 20 times between the tackles. That just wasn't going to happen. But he got targeted 8 times, caught 6 balls for an additional 68 yards, 19 DraftKings points there. Hope you played him. You should have. We were screaming at you to play him all week long. Lamar Miller got injured and then got a little bit out of sorts with the game flow, the way that game was going. They got behind. They weren't going to him. Ended the day with 8 points. We're a little unlucky that he got injured because he was rolling before that injury. Mike Davis was a pivot play and kind of a dangerous play to get off of Giovanni Bernard. We were using him as kind of maybe a 5% play in tournaments. 15 carries, 66 yards. Looked good on those carries, but obviously against Jacksonville, you're not going to get very many opportunities. Only one catch on 2 targets, 7.5 DraftKings points. Missed value, but not by much, as he was only 3,700. DeAndre Hopkins was the guy that you needed to have at the high dollar mark. 39.9 DraftKings points, 16 targets once again. Doesn't matter if his quarterback is Savage or Yates or whatever. 11 catches, 16 targets, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns. The beat goes on. Hope you played DeAndre Hopkins. Marvin Jones Jr., I sided with him over Golden Tate. This was the mistake, I guess. I would probably make this mistake again with his usage. Them having the same amount of targets on the season with his red zone usage, more than 2 times the red zone usage. Golden Tate caught a red zone touchdown in this game, and it was not Marvin Jones Jr. who fell down inside the 5-yard line on one of his catches. 3 catches on only 4 targets, 64 yards, no touchdowns, 9.4 points. I'll take this one. This was my bad. That was a mistake. Could have been Golden Tate, wasn't, as we see here. Higher touchdown expectation, 21.5% of the market share, red zone targets versus Tate's 9.23. Like I said, I would make this mistake again. I'm always going to go for the guy that gets more probability of red zone targets when you're dealing with a quarterback that you think is going to throw for a lot of touchdowns. Stafford didn't, only had 1, and it went to Tate. Josh Gordon, the plug and play that everybody wanted to go with this week. There was trepidation here. There was the possibility of tournament downside. I didn't think he should be as owned in tournaments as he was going to be and was. That did bear out what he did reach value because of the touchdown that he scored. He had 3 catches on 6 targets for 69 yards and a touchdown, 15.9 DraftKings points. So here's really the question. If you played Josh Gordon, you're like, see, Josh Gordon was amazing. He posted the same stats as Marvin Jones Jr. did. He just added the touchdown at the end of it. So the difference, obviously their price. That's why you were playing Josh Gordon over Marvin Jones in cash. But very similarly priced on FD. Big difference on DraftKings, so you're going to play Gordon over him. But there were a lot of other guys at that price range, I felt, for tournaments that gave us opportunities for leverage, and we'll get into that when we do the lineup breakdown. Keenan Allen did what he does, 20 fantasy points once again, 6 catches, 8 targets, 111 yards, his 4th straight game of over 100 yards. Didn't get his 10 catches to extend that streak to 4 straight games. Marquise Goodwin, 6 catches, 12 targets. He's going to be the target that we're going to go after if we're going to play Garoppolo, that you're going to want to pair with him in a quarterback wide receiver stack. Moving forward, very much utilized now, way more so than he was before. 12 targets, again, 106 yards, 19.6 DraftKings points. Trent Taylor, he was a bust. 2 catches on 3 targets, 11 yards. Was pretty thin for cash. I thought he was fine for tournaments. Obviously didn't pay off. Didn't really come close against Houston. Travis Kelce. This is where we got massively unlucky in the, quote unquote, play the dudes lineup, right? Like there was so much value that you just play all the studs. I was like, okay, play Kelce, play Gurley, play DeAndre Hopkins, and I'll see you on Monday, right? Travis Kelce, 14.4 DraftKings points. Ghost Gardner, thank you very much for another 150 bits. Amazing support today with the bit donations. Thank you very much. 7 catches on 13 targets for 74 yards, no touchdowns. I repeat, no touchdowns. Travis Kelce in the first half of this game against the Raiders fell down on the 1-yard line, had another touchdown called back for holding, and had another touchdown that was also negated as well. He could have had 2 to 3 touchdowns in the first half to go along with this and would have been an absolute crusher of a play when partnered with Gurley and Hopkins, giving you basically 100 points from those 3 guys. But no, he had 14.4, which leads us to the value play, Trey Burton, who with Ertz likely to be out was the guy that we were suggesting to go to. Steven Anderson also a play, but I liked Burton a little bit better throughout the week. I was a little bit kind of splitting my action in the morning because we weren't sure that Ertz was going to be out because he was a later play. If you really hedged this and you said, okay, Burton's going to be lower owned because people don't know, Burton had an absolute crusher of a day with two touchdowns, 5 catches, 6 targets, 71 yards, 24.1 DraftKings points. If you had him in your lineup, it gave you a chance to win some tournaments. The Bengals were a bust, 1 fantasy point. The Bills, 5 fantasy points on 1 sack, but they played the game in 8 inches of snow. So overall, Best Buys did very, very well this week. 4 of the 5 quarterbacks had 19 or more points. Nailed the stud highest scoring running back, nailed the highest scoring wide receiver, gave you a couple of plays around him, nailed the highest scoring tight end, who was also a great value play. The defenses were a little bit lacking. So I think that we did pretty well this week, at least with as far as Best Buys went. Let's get to looking at my lineup real quick. This is my lineup that I went with, and like I said, this is not a cash game lineup. If it was a cash game lineup, I had the money to go up to Gordon here. I went away from him. That cost 12, 13 points. We would have scored our 150 for cash. I went with more of a tournament lineup this week because that's what I'm focusing on with championship weeks here. I had the FD final this week, got DK final last week, so really working on kind of leveraging the field a little bit in specific spots. I paid up for Kelsey at tight end instead of going down to Gurley. Going down to Trey Burton. Shepard was supposed to be 100%. They had no help behind him. He practiced in full, trusting the beat writers there. Jordan Raanan does a really good job there for the Giants, so he just did not get it done. He had 2 catches, 16 yards, and ran for -9 yards. That kind of stunk. Lamar Miller, like we said, got unlucky there, got hurt. Bernard, Garoppolo, DeAndre Hopkins, Shepard, Taylor, Kelsey, who missed 3 touchdowns, and Gurley. This lineup was good enough for about a 60th percentile. I would have been profitable in head-to-heads had I played them this week. Playing this in tournaments obviously didn't work, but we're going to see how it goes moving forward. This week, we're going to do the first look lineup. This was the weekend recap. I don't know that I'm going to be able to do the Friday question and answer, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do the Anti-Tinkercast on Sunday morning as I'm flying to Miami this week for the DraftKings Fantasy Football World Championships. $2 million sitting up top of that tournament, $12 million in total prizes, $1 million to second, $500,000 to third, the biggest fantasy football tournament of the year and the most important. 200 people are in that one. I am lucky enough to have 1 seat in that. I'm going to do my best to compete and see what I can do there. We will be doing the Edge podcast this week. It's going to come out early as Adam and Pete are also traveling, so it's going to be kind of the early lineup, or early podcast, just like we did for Thanksgiving. So stay tuned for all the rest of the content that's going to come out. Best Buys and the 06010 will get done by their normal time on Thursday morning. But this is going to do it for the weekend recap. Please click that subscribe and like button before you leave, and thank you for being a part of it. We'll catch up to you guys later. Bye.